like a Hellcat.
Hey YouTube, what's up? This is King Gio in the house. I want to say what's up to everybody. I hope you're having a great Sunday. Whenever you see this video, I hope you're having a great day or a great evening or a great afternoon. Well, I wanted to give you my perspective on what's going on in the world. Well, what's going on with us as a country in the United States of America. You know that the Olympics is every 4 years, the Winter Olympics is every 4 years, elections every 4 years, something like that. And you would think that in terms of an election, right? That the elections every 4 years, the president gets elected, and then that's it. We'll go back to our normal lives. But unfortunately, that's not the case. This year has been very, very a disturbing year. You would think that, you know, that Biden's president and things will be over and done with. People are still reminiscent about Trump's laws and stuff like that. You know, people don't know how to forget. People don't know how to get rid of things. People just harp on the old stuff and don't know how to move on forward. It's kind of funny how some people can live rent-free in your brain, in your mind, and that's not healthy. What the scary part of this all is that, you know, I came to a realization this morning was when I have a son who's dark skinned, and he asked me, Dad, you know, what do I do if a cop stops me and with everything that's going on? I said, comply. But it's kind of disturbing to having my son ask me this, because he doesn't need to be asking me this. You know, he doesn't need to be asking me, Dad, brothers. We live in a country where we're supposed to feel safe. Yes, we know that there are knuckleheads out there. We all know that there's murderers, there's rapists. We all know that. So we teach our kids to fend off those people, to stay away from people like that. But we always say the cops are good. The cops, you know, whenever there's an emergency, you always call 911. And we're living in an age now where to call 911, it's a bad thing. To call 911, you have to be in desperate measures to say, I gotta call 911 because, I call 911, I have the cops come over, and what if they arrest me? What if they do this? A lot of people question themselves, and that's no good. And I blame senators, I blame Congress, I blame sergeants of police forces, I blame lieutenants of police forces, I blame commanders of police forces who do not give the adequate training, who do not change the laws so that these officers, men and women, can get the proper training, so the things like Micaiah Bryant does not happen, like the things of George Floyd does not happen, like the things of Eric Garner does not happen. Okay? Those things and others. There's an array of names that we can go down the list and say that they've died in the hands of police officers who are not either properly trained or they are trained. They had so many, like Derek Chauvin had so many complaints, and they're still on the force. Why? And when your son or your daughter comes up to you and says, what do I do if an officer stops me? It's kind of hard to tell them, you have to do this, you have to do that. You know, I say comply because I don't want my son to get shot. I don't want anyone's son to get shot, or any daughters to get shot. But sometimes this is revolting, and it becomes to a point that when you see a cop and they do stop you, like, what the F do you want? Leave me alone. And it starts from there, because you get tired of seeing the same thing over and over again. You see police brutalities in other countries because those are third world countries. Those are countries that the government are corrupt. These things are not supposed to happen here, but they are happening here. We're living in European times. When the Europeans did all the shootings, if you look at the history of Europe, when they came over to the United States, they brought all that mayhem. They brought all that Neanderthal thinking to this country. They killed the Indians, they raped the women, they did everything. We're still living on European laws. Look at every law that you see is basically based on Europe. Nothing is eventually our own thoughts. Not my thoughts, not your thoughts, Congress thoughts. You know, Here you have these people in Congress thinking that the Republicans they don't think that there's something wrong with the police, so they're not going to address it. They're not going to address it. You got Ted Cruz, who's a man who actually graduated from Harvard or whatever the case may be, but yet he's dumb in his own ways. He doesn't want the courts to be packed because he doesn't want the Democrats to get the upper hand. But he does. He is aware that the courts have been packed. He is aware that Republicans have changed the number of judges in prior. So there's nothing. There's nothing big here, but he makes it big because people who are absent-minded, unfortunately, don't understand when these people try to manipulate you. Manipulating a mind is a very easy thing to do if you're not strong-willed. Okay, if you put your mindset and you say to yourself, "You're going to succeed," you're going to succeed. No matter what you are. I don't care if you have a high school diploma. I don't care if you don't have a high school diploma. I don't care if you're I don't care if you're a college graduate or you're not a college graduate. If you set your mind that you're going to succeed, you will succeed. Don't let anyone tell you any different. Don't let anyone tell you, oh, capitalism is the best or socialism is the best or whatever it can be. You do what you want to do, and you make sure that in the process you don't hurt no one, but in the process you succeed. That if you have to brown nose, I don't know what that case may be, to succeed, then that's what you got to do. So anything that's given to you easily, it's not worth doing. It's the struggle and the fight, and that's what they don't see. So it's a shame that you have to go through a society that you're afraid of the cops. You're more afraid of the cops than you are afraid of your next door neighbor. You're more afraid of the drug dealer across the street. Because you know that if you step on his toes or you do something, that person's going to end up shooting you, whatever it may be. You steal from that, whatever. But you have this perception that cops are good, they're supposed to serve and protect. And at the end of the day, they come out and they do stupid shit and they end up killing people. Okay? Video after video that I see of Makala Bryant, I say to myself, that young lady died standing her own ground. People don't seem to understand. They're defending this cop. Other cops say, oh, he had to do what he had to do. No, if you see videos from across the street, this officer had ample time because he went in between. But the thing here is that this girl is on her street. This girl is in her house. This girl is in her yard. She stands her ground. All right, she's standing her ground. So if she's calling and she's saying someone is in my house, they're trying to stab us. All right, you're supposed to protect your own. So if you can't protect your own, so what's the point of having a stand your ground law? It's only good for white people, but it's not good for the rest of us. Florida's an example. In Florida, a few years ago, there was a black lady, I think it was in the South, in Florida, Fort Lauderdale, whatever the case may be, but if you look it up, she had an order of protection against her ex-husband. So stand your ground. So this is what it is. This is her name. Her name is Marissa Alexander. Listen to this, guys. Listen to this. It's very important. Alexander was in the home of her estranged husband, Rico Gray, when Alexander stated that Gray threatened to kill her via text on Alexander's phone. Gray had previously abused her, giving her reason to believe that her life was in danger. According to Alexander, she tried to escape through the garage, but the garage door was not open. The account was confirmed by Gray in a sworn deposition, although investigators found no problem in the door. Anyway, Alexander then retrieved her gun from her vehicle and went to the kitchen. Alexander fired a warning shot towards Gray with his children nearby, which hit the wall near Gray at the height of his head. That deflected into the ceiling. The single shot did not injure anyone, according to the one source. Alexander had fired the warning shot because of Florida's stand your ground law that allows self-defense such as lethal force in a life-threatening situation, but a warning shot was not legal at that time. So it says here, Alexander, who has a history of suffering domestic violence from Gray and obtained a restraining order because of it, sought self-defense immunity prior to a trial, but unsuccessful. So they had given her. So the courts get what I'm hearing here. the prosecution offered her a 3-year plea deal, and she said no. So she took it to trial for self-defense, and a jury convicted her in 12 minutes. And because of the Florida 10 to 20 life mandatory minimum statute, she was sentenced to 20 years. 20 years, guys. 20 years. Now, that's 20 years, right? That's staying your ground. Now, there was another, like 6-7 months later, there was a white guy. This woman's black. There was a white guy who did basically the same thing, and he stand his ground. He shot. He got nothing. He didn't go to court. The DA decided not to prosecute. Nothing. So you see what the double sword is. This is only happening in America because there's a division that all blacks are the same. There's a division that we treat black people differently than we do whites, and that's from the European times. We're not living in that time, but yet we are doing that. We're living in a country where people say, if you're not white, blue, white, the same thing Hitler did. We're doing it here. We don't say the word Hitler. We don't say that name, but that's what it is. That's what it is. I just saw a video where Donald Trump was talking about the president of North Korea, how his people stand up, you know, on a like a soldier's kind of way. He said, "That's the way I want my people. That's what I want. That's what I want people to do for me. Stand like you're supposed to stand up like a dictatorship, and you salute and you say, yeah, sir." No. But people, that's the way people believe. And then the lady said, "I don't believe in dictatorship. I don't believe in dictatorship. But if I had to choose a dictator, I want it to be under Trump." This is what kind of mentality people use. So we need to, as a country, as a whole, we need to stick together because people, this is going to get worse. That's my perspective. This is going to get worse. It's going to be unfortunate, and I hope it doesn't happen. There's going to be officers that are going to get hurt because of the stupidity of other officers. Okay? People are going to say, we're not going to take this anymore. And it's going to come a time, people are just going to get tired of it. So when you do call, you know, people are not going to call 911. And when you do call 911, something's going to happen to that officer. Because people are getting tired. You got people who just don't care. You're going to have a person that says, you know what, I don't care during life. I don't care. But I'm taking somebody with me. I'm taking somebody's cop with me. And you don't want that because cops are there to serve and protect and to serve. But we've come to a point that enough is enough. When is Congress going to act? When is your mayor going to act? When is your governor going to act? When are commanders of the police? When are sergeants of the police? When is this going to take place? That they start putting these irresponsible officers, to take count and responsibility for their actions, wean those who are bad, take them out, and put good officers in. Okay, let's say you got 100 officers. 100 officers, 99 of them may be great, and one of them may be bad. Or you're not going to wean each and every one of them in the process of recruitment, but you have more or less of an idea, you know. So that's what you're trying. That's what you're trying to do, you know. But when you have a country that is being led by white supremacy, because that's what it is, and people still don't see that, you know. And you have a president or ex-president who says, "Oh, he doesn't know who David Duke is," when he knows who David Duke was. He doesn't acknowledge the KKK. He does, and he tells his Proud Boys, you know, stand back and stand out and stand down. I mean, that gets back. And then when you see what happens in January 6th, and you don't acknowledge that was a resurrection, insurrection, you don't acknowledge that. That was not a peaceful. Then you try to compare that to Black Lives Matter, which is two different things, two different fights. You know, Black Lives Matter fought, and their protest was to. So this police brutality stops. For the police brutality to stop, which affects everyone. It affects everyone. But to attack the federal building, to attack a building because you believe that an election was stolen, you believe that your person that you wanted to be president is not president, because you look at the difference. something that's going to affect you from a perspective of your life, meaning that if you walk down the street and a cop can shoot you, or if you walk down the street, this can happen to you. That's something that you fight for, but you're fighting for a vote, something that you put on a piece of paper because you want to elect someone to become president of the United States. How is that going to affect you in the long run? It may affect you health-wise because, you got to make sure that the person, does something good with the health insurance that you get, but that's political. You can survive that. That's nothing. Because at the end of the day, you can put Tom, Jerry, Woody Woodpecker, whoever it is, none of them are going to be honest with you. They're not going to do anything for you. At the end of the day, you have to work for yourself. When you get that paycheck, who is it under? Your name, not the president. Who is it under? Your name, not the senators. So you work hard for it, right? If you open up your own business, who do people pay the money for you to do business with? To you, not to the United States of America, but to you. The United States of America may take their share, but it's you. So you're working for you. You got to do you. You voted, that person didn't get voted in, fine, you move on. You move on. You don't cause a chaos and you go into the Capitol building up for a vote. Does that make any sense to you? So you're saying that that's okay, but I mean that's okay, but you condemn what Black Lives Matter did. You say no, that they rioted, they killed businesses, they burned down buildings. But those were that was that Black Lives Matter. That Black Lives Matter protested peacefully. Those are people who go out their way, other people who go out their way, and they do stupid shit, not knowing what you're marching for. But at that same time, those people who were burning stuff and those people who were doing it, some of them did it because they were tired. They were tired of the tyranny. They were tired of the constant hate. They're tired of walking down a street and saying to themselves, "Is this cop going to shoot me?" I'm tired of if I get handcuffed by an officer, because now you get handcuffed, you're like, "Am I going to get out of this alive?" Because I got to be careful what I say. If you're black or if you're brown, but if you're white, you're okay. And whoever does not accept the fact that there's a disparity between blacks and whites, it's wrong. You're delusional. You're not living in this country. Okay? So think about that. Think about that. All right? Think about that, people. It's time for us to wake up. It's time for us to do things differently. It's time for us to change. To change. Okay, this is where I get my King Gioga. That's my name. All right? So now you know that I hustle. I bust my ass working every day. And when I do my giveaways, I do them because I want to, because I want to give something away to you guys. I want to say thank you. That's the way I do it. So let's stick to that. But we have to do things, and we have to stick together. We have to, there are a lot of great white people in the world. There are a lot in this country, but there are those who are just stuck in their ways, stuck in their Neanderthal ways. And I get tired, and I even get tired of seeing blacks going against blacks. I see Hispanics going against Hispanics. That has to stop. If we don't stick together, this will never change. It will never change.